What are the airlines? We just looked at Southwest there, going in the stock market from 52-week high to 52-week low. This is not an airline that flies to China at all. It's like everybody's being taken out and shot.
Yeah, not only does it not fly to China, it doesn't even have some of the sort of indirect exposure that an airline like JetBlue has, let's say. JetBlue code shares with Chinese carriers. I remember one time I flew from Fort Lauderdale to Beijing via JFK using those two airlines. Alaska has that kind of relationship. And Southwest, Tyler, has held up reasonably well. And if you kind of look at the market movements of these airlines, what you're seeing here, and this is interesting, you'd think it might be people doing what we're talking about, saying who is the most exposed. Really, it's kind of more of a flight to quality. Southwest has actually held up reasonably well this week, down about 17% since last Friday's close. But Delta has held up better than anybody else, even though Delta is about as exposed as anybody. United has the most direct exposure to China, but Delta has that giant joint venture with Korean Air. Delta, though, like Southwest, investment-grade rated debt, one of the few airlines around the world.
What are you hearing about load factors on airlines? I was on two flights in the last week. Both were packed. Another high executive who I talked to earlier today or conferred with said that he was on a flight transcontinental New York to L.A., and it was basically empty.
Yeah, and that JetBlue move that Phil told us about is probably the first indicator of weak domestic demand. All very anecdotal right now. I had a friend text me yesterday and said, I was going to maybe book a flying vacation for spring break. I booked a driving vacation instead. I'm not really afraid to get on a plane now. I don't know how things are going to look in a month. So I think some of that is going on. And JetBlue in particular probably wouldn't have made that move if they're not seeing at least some softness from fear. Obviously around the world, it's a different story when you talk about China or even Europe. But there are some people at least thinking twice about getting on a plane, even domestically, even though many still are.